That night, the wind howled like something was clawing to get in. My mother lay passed out on the couch, an empty bottle hanging from her hand. I sat alone in the hallway, knees pulled to my chest, still shaking from what I'd said. The silence wrapped around me like a noose. I remember the ticking of the clock, slow, deliberate, like a countdown I never agreed to. Then the phone rang. It rang too long. When I finally picked up, the voice on the other end was calm, eerily calm. "Is this the residence of Matthew?" they asked. I whispered yes. "There's been an accident. He didn't make it. We need someone to identify the body." Just like that. No hesitation. No apology. The phone slipped in my hand. I couldn't speak. Couldn't cry. I just stood there, frozen, while the world quietly tilted on its side. It was the last time I saw my father alive. And yet, I didn't know how to feel. Not grief. Not relief. Something in between. The room spun. I felt hollow, like something inside me had been scooped out and no one noticed. No one asked if I was okay. Not even my grandmother. She didn't accuse me, but she didn't need to. Her silence screamed louder than words. She just stopped speaking to me. The hours blurred. Red and blue lights flashed across the windows. A knock. Low voices. Curious neighbors whispering in the cold. My mother didn't stir. Didn't ask what happened. Didn't even wake up. I signed the death papers myself. One of the officers stared too long before muttering. He hit the divider at full speed. No brake marks. It's like he wasn't even trying to stop. That night, I cried in front of the mirror, not for him, but for the version of me that still hoped someone might care. And I made myself a promise, never again. Never would I let anyone make me feel invisible. The funeral felt like someone else's dream, distant, foggy, unreal. I was there, but not really. My body moved through the motions, but my mind floated somewhere far away. I didn't cry. Most of the ceremony is lost to a blur, a closed casket, muffled hymns, the cold hum of silence between prayers. But one detail burned itself into memory, a man standing at the back of the room. Completely still. Hands folded. He wasn't grieving. He was watching. Studying. Like he hadn't come to mourn, but to collect. I never saw him again, not like that. After the funeral, I moved to a new city to continue my studies. I thought distance might help me breathe again. And that's when I met him, Varnak. He didn't arrive with noise or drama. He simply existed, appearing in moments I didn't realize I needed someone. At first, he was just a friend. Gentle. Easy to talk to. But he knew things he shouldn't have, details I had never shared. The bruises I never photographed. The time my mother locked me outside in a snowstorm when I was 5. I never told anyone that. And still, I didn't question him. Because when you've spent your life broken, you cling to the first person who makes you feel whole. He said our son, Corvin, would bring healing. Hope. Light to a broken world. And I believed him. Because I wanted to believe in something good. But then, he vanished. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone, like he had never existed. I went to the police. They found no records. No ID. No enrollment at the university. "Ma'am," they asked, "are you sure he was real?" Humiliated, I shut down. Then Corvin was born. And for a while, the fear faded. Because the moment I held him, I felt something I'd never felt before. Peace. Stillness. But not the kind that soothes. The kind that settles over a room before the storm begins. At first, he was just a baby, soft skin, gentle coos, sleepy smiles. But by 6 months, things changed. The lights would flicker when he cried, but only the ones near him. The hallway outside his nursery never rose above 3 degrees Celsius, no matter how high we turned the heat. Electricians came and left puzzled. Then one night, at exactly 3 a.m., someone knocked on the door. When I opened it, I found a dead crow lying neatly on the welcome mat. Its wings were bent into a strange, unnatural shape, like a symbol. I brought it inside, thinking it was some cruel prank. But by morning, it was gone. And that same morning, Corvin laughed for the first time. The sound of it chilled me to my core. Then things escalated. My phone glitched whenever I tried to take his photo. Mirrors fogged when he was nearby. Strangers on the street looked away when I passed with the stroller, as if they saw something I didn't. One night, I found him in his crib, mumbling in a voice belonged to a baby, wet, guttural, like someone speaking through cracked earth. I recorded it. The audio showed no interference. No static. Just low vocal frequencies. too low for a baby to produce. Neurologists ran scans. First curious, then concerned, then terrified. His brain showed signs of adult-level REM cognition, fully developed dream activity no infant should have. One specialist whispered, "This can't be real." Another walked out without a word. By the second day, half the staff wouldn't enter his room. They didn't say it, but I saw it in their eyes. Not confusion, not concern, fear. That night, I noticed long, deep scratches on my bedroom wall. I didn't own a pet. I found the same scratches on his crib. On his skin. On my arms. I trimmed his nails while he slept, but by morning, they'd grown back. Every single time. Longer. Sharper. Then the dreams began. The same nightmare, over and over. A black room, the walls made of shifting shadows. Whispering voices in a language I couldn't understand. And in the center, a faceless man cradling Corvin in his arms, gently rocking him while repeating one phrase.
Here's the bridge, here's the door, here's the beginning.
One morning, I woke up with dirt on my feet, as if I'd been walking outside. But the door was locked. The windows were shut. Corvin was giggling softly in his crib. I ran to the baby monitor. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I scrubbed back to 3 a.m., the time of the knocking, the whispers, the cold. I expected to see something. A flicker. A shadow. Someone standing over the crib. But what I found, I can't explain it. Not yet. All I'll say is this. Whatever I saw that night was enough to make me sleep with the lights on. But the footage? It was blank. Not dark. Not distorted. Just gone. The timestamp jumped from 2:59 to 3:06, 7 full minutes erased, like they'd never existed. I replayed it again and again. At 2:59, Corvin was asleep, hand twitching gently in a dream. Then, nothing. Next frame, 3:06. He was sitting upright, eyes wide, staring directly into the camera. Smiling. I told myself it was a glitch. But that night, I didn't sleep. And I never looked at him the same way again. Because deep down, I knew, whatever happened in those 7 minutes wasn't meant to be seen. He's 10 months old. Barely says, "Mama." But every night at 3 a.m., he sits up in his crib, giggling softly, babbling to the dark corner of the room like someone's whispering back. Last night, he paused mid-sentence, turned toward me, and said in a clear, calm voice, "He doesn't like you here." I almost asked, "Who?" But I didn't. Because some part of me already knew I didn't want the answer. I laughed it off. Told myself I was sleep-deprived, overwhelmed, maybe even grieving in ways I hadn't acknowledged. Until I saw the handprint. Small. Delicate. Pressed into the fog on the bathroom mirror. But too high for him to reach. Too high for any child his size. And it hadn't been there a moment before. That's when I stopped pretending this was all in my head. Something was in my apartment. Not a person. Not an intruder. A presence. Watching. Listening. Waiting. I didn't even look back. I grabbed a blanket, scooped Corvin into my arms, and ran. I didn't have a plan. I just drove. Somewhere, anywhere, that might feel safe. Somehow, we ended up at the gates of an old church. I don't remember the drive. Just the fog. The silence. The wait. The sanctuary was nearly empty. Shadows stretched between the pews as the stained glass painted broken colors across the floor. The priest stepped out from a side door. He froze when he saw us. Not in surprise, but in recognition. Like he'd been waiting. His gaze dropped to Corvin. Then slowly back to me. He didn't speak right away. Didn't welcome me. Didn't even blink. Instead, he took a step backward, then another. Like the air around us had dropped 20 degrees. His hand moved to the rosary around his neck, fingers tightening. "You invited it in," he said quietly. Maybe not with words. But with grief. With longing. "You begged for something you didn't understand, and it answered." Then, after a long silence, he asked me a question I didn't expect. "Who named him?" My blood ran cold. "Why are you asking that?" I whispered. But I already knew the answer wouldn't make me feel better. Only worse. His expression changed immediately, like someone had just spoken a word that shouldn't exist. I watched the color drain from his face. His lips parted, but no words came at first. Not even a breath. Just silence, thick, cold silence that seemed to stretch forever. Then something flickered in his eyes. Not surprise. Not confusion. Fear. Real fear. The kind that doesn't come from stories or imagination, but from memory. Lived experience. That was the moment I knew I wasn't crazy. Come with me, he said, voice low and urgent, almost trembling. There's something you need to know. About a boy. And the name you chose. He led me into a dim back room of the church, past flickering candles and walls lined with records older than both of us. He set a folder down and opened it slowly, carefully, like the paper might scream if he moved too fast. Inside was a photo, so old the edges had curled. A boy. Thin. Bruised. Bones sharp beneath his skin. His body deformed, but it was his eyes that stopped me. Too dark. Too knowing. They kept him locked in the horse stable, the priest said, voice raw. Said his deformity was a curse. Said he wasn't right. He paused. One night, the house caught fire. The family didn't make it. He looked at me. But he did. My mouth was dry. My arms tightened instinctively around Corvin, warm and sleeping against my chest. He said they deserved it, the priest continued. That they bought it on themselves. Then he turned over the photo. One word was written on the back, in shaking, faded ink. Corvin. And just before he died, the priest whispered, he smiled through the smoke, and said,
Next time, I won't be locked outside. Next time, they'll raise me themselves.
My skin prickled. My voice came out quieter than I meant. Who's they? I asked.